Talk to me about NoFap.
I think the online space has got this like different perception of what it is, in my opinion. I think a lot of people think like it is, the levitation and it's going to make you amazing and everything. And you certainly will see a very, very significant change in your life if you're one of those like hardcore wankers who are going multiple times a day, messed up porn and everything, which to be honest, like there's a fair amount of guys. And I have the authenticity to say, yeah, 100%. I was not that messed up, but like I was one of those guys, right? And so when you go from this like multiple times a day to like not maybe let's say once every 3 days you're masturbating, there's quite a big difference. And that's like I think as far as a lot of the benefit does go. After that, there's like this cult online which is telling you, okay, if you ever touch a dick again, like that's the perception that they're pushing on to young men. If you fap again, you've lost the benefits. Which that blows my mind because that's so unhealthy to tell young guys. It's like telling an obese guy, okay, yeah, get into the gym. You should go every day. If you miss a day, you lose all of the progress. That's heartless, man. That's so like, I've come across more young men who have been pained by NoFap than who have just like got problems with like porn and masturbation. Yeah, because they get like this existential crisis where now they feel like more of a loser because they keep failing NoFap. And it's just like simple habit science. I always ask them the question like, when did you start jacking off? And they'll say, age 13, they're 19 right now. So 6 years you've been building up this habit. You found NoFap a few weeks ago. 6 years you've been building it up and you just think you're going to break the habit just like that. It's like, at least for me, it took me about 5 years to get onto like NoFap, where like it's honestly like it's not in my life at all. I don't even think about it. I often forget that porn and masturbation is the thing. But I was so hard on myself for the first like year or so, thinking like I should get to day 90 or something, because it's not just about like the discipline and willpower. It's about, bro, like we've been building up this habit for like 10 years, man. It's like it's gonna take some time to like reduce it down.
I wonder how many people would benefit from NoFap that aren't like pathological fappers. The people who aren't completely addicted and see it as a vice. Because one of the things that I've realized recently is that with a lot of the things we do that we don't like ourselves for doing, let's say it's using our phone too much, or maybe it's junk eating on a nighttime, or whatever it might be, I would say that less than 50% of the problem is the actual activity that you do. And most of the problem comes from the story that you tell yourself about the type of person you are for having done that action. So a lot of the benefits that I think we get from going through any type of personal development actually comes from a reframing around capturing our own agency to do with that particular action. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, very, very well said. That's like, it's like this bell curve where at first you don't really think that the original thing is the problem, the vice is the problem, so masturbation or let's say the junk food. Eventually you start to see people talk about, quitting it and everything. Okay, this is when you hate the thing, but you can't stop it. And so there's often this negative mental well-being stage when you're trying to start a new thing, which everyone kind of knows, which is like when you finally start thinking, okay, I've got to go to the gym, I've got to lose weight, I've got to do this. It's like you just feel like shit for a little while because you hate the thing, but you still have a habit or even an addiction to the thing. And you've actually brought up like a fantastic point recently. I've been thinking that potentially the best way to actually improve things like this, whether it's NoFap or healthy eating, it's actually way more about the self-image and like the beliefs that we have about ourselves more than it actually is. Like the stereotypical advice of like, install the website blocker and like don't buy the junk food and everything. Because if you just kind of like hide the stuff away from you, like it's like a child just saying, like, oh, I can't see the porn anymore, so I can't be addicted, or like, I didn't buy the junk food, so I can't eat it anymore. But it's more, if me and you have a chocolate bar in front of us right now, we're probably not going to eat it because it doesn't really align with our identity. We're going to think, oh, it's just not, I don't want to put it onto my fitness pal and just have the regret there. Like, oh yeah, 400 calories for a month, bro.
Speak for yourself, man. I'm not tracking at the moment. I can eat whatever the fuck I want. So I had Charlie Hoopert from Charisma on Command on the show earlier this week. And we were talking about the fact that there is a tension between assisting yourself to not do the things that you don't want to do by hiding them away from you, or by creating constraints in your life. So you don't want to play League of Legends, so you snap the game in half and delete your Xbox account or whatever. And there is a question. Look,
I know that you're not a gamer because you just said that. Any gamers who's listening to you right now,
what is it, PC only? Fuck.
Snap the game in half.
Foot in mouth. Yeah, snap your PC in half. The problem that you have is that there is a part of you that feels defeated by that. Like, oh, I'm defeatist because I've assisted. So the same as you saying like, look, is keeping the junk food out of the house actually putting a blinker over your eyes so that you can't deal with the underlying problem that's causing the junk eating in the first place? I would be tempted to say that you need to give yourself assistance in the first place. Like, environment design is a huge part of habit building. And it's probably the case that the tools you get in the beginning that get you across the first river isn't the boat that you're supposed to carry across land to get you across the second river. It's like, look, the thing that you did that got you here isn't the thing that's going to get you there. So if you decide to assist yourself by putting a porn blocker on your laptop or getting rid of all of the junk food out of your house or doing whatever it might be, that's fine. And then that will allow you to at least gain some momentum when your ability to stick to the habit is its weakest. Then we start to build up. Okay, now I've got a bit more capacity. And now maybe I can look to reintroduce, looking at where does my compulsion to eat junk food on an evening come from? Oh, it's actually because I'm bored, because I don't have anything to do. Maybe it's because I'm lonely. Oh, well, now that I've given myself room away from the junk food, I can actually start to fill that with something else.
That's a really, really good point, actually, yeah. So the original environmental design, I often critique it. I often say, even though every scientist disagrees with me and they say, willpower is limited, I feel like I'm the one guy right now telling everyone rely on willpower instead. Because in my story, the environmental design would never even work. Because it's this idea, okay, I can not buy the junk food inside the store, but then we've already got some at home. Or I'll throw it all out. It's one of the, I'm going on a diet, I'm going to throw out the junk food. But then my girlfriend's going to come back home with extra food. Or I go to work and it's a customer service job at the time. So motherfuckers are bringing in a lot of snacks and stuff. So I'm eating that. So it's if the idea is you're going to say no once inside of the shop, the thing is, if all you have is the environmental design, you probably aren't going to manage the entire environment around you. Whereas it really is that level of willpower and even the self-image, the belief that any given time, we have junk food in the house all the time. I finally love that shit, but I'll walk past the kitchen, no problem. Every single day for 2 years, there's the stuff that I used to binge eat on. But the reason why is because I always try to do this thing of no, don't go into the kitchen, tell my dad not to buy the crisps. Eventually, I just, it's kind of psychopathic, but I got my favorite snacks, just set them on the desk and just looked at them. And I don't think many people have done this, but the weird thoughts that you get about yourself when you do that, seriously, get the best snacks that you've ever gotten, even drugs as well. So I did this with weed and I just put it on top of the table just with a notepad, started journaling, and it just makes you feel like a crackhead because you're okay, so the experiment's done, so I can
writing a fucking ode to my drugs. I've written a poem. I'm outside of its window with a pair of roses.
The boombox in it.
What's happening, people? If you enjoyed that, then press here for the full, unedited episode. And don't forget to subscribe. Peace.